Okay, today I'm going to talk about bones and how to use them in Rive. We're going to talk all about them bones and how to use them in Rive. So let's get cracking. I've got this character here that looks suspiciously like a Duolingo character. Anyway, let's see how we can use bones. Now, there are two ways to use bones. The one way is to take an object and make it a parent of the bone, and the other way is to bind the bone. So when do you use which one? Basically, when you want your object to deform, that's when you bind it to the bone, and when you don't want your object to deform, to actually just move with the bone, you make it a child of the bone. So we're going to use both methods. So let's start. Press B for the bone tool. And then we just create this little bone here at the base of our character. And that's going to be, I'm just going to call this our character root. And I'm going to put it inside of the character main group here. And then I'm going to take everything I've got here, and I'm going to make it a child of the character root bone. So now when we move the character root bone, if I move it up here, you can see our whole character moves with it, and that's basically what we want. So now let's create the leg bone. For the leg bone, we want the legs to deform, so we're going to use a different method. So I'm just going to press R for bone. I'm going to press B for bone, and I'm going to create a bone, holding shift to make it straight, create another one and another one. So now we've got a basic leg. So what I want to do is I'm just going to rename this to left leg. So it's always a good idea to name your bones. And then left shin. And then the last one, I'm going to call it left foot. And I'm going to take these bones and I'm going to put them into the character root bone. So now when I move the character root bone, this follows along. But now we want to bind the left leg. So what I do is I go to the left leg, and then there's a shape in here, which is just a basic shape, a line shape. And I'm going to edit this. So I'm going to go into my left leg, and then there's two ways of accessing it. You can either press enter twice and then you go into the path, or you can just click on the path. So then we go to this button here which says bind bones, and then select these ones holding Control and Shift. Select both of them and say done. Now this is bound to the bone. So now we need to go to the vertices and weight them. This is very simple. This is a very similar process as you would do it in a 3D package like Blender, where you would have your bones and then you would weight them. But it's much simpler than Blender, because you're only working with a few vertices. So now we've got this top vert here, and we see that's set to the left leg here, and that's fine. And then we've got this one here, so we've bound it to these two bones. And then this one here at the bottom, I want it to be 100% on the shin. And then if you see in the middle here, I've got another vertex here, and then there's two lines, because it's not a straight line. If it's a straight line, it would only be one, but it's two, and this line here gives it a bit of a bend. If it's got a mirrored handles. So if I select all of these, now I just need to make it 50. So it's 50 influence on the one, 50 influence on the other one. And then if I go back to editing and I select this left leg here, and I go to the shin and I move it, you can see our bone moves. And then if you want to make it to be more like a sort of bendy bone, all you need to do is you just need to go to your path, edit vertices, and then take this mirrored handle, take this parameter here and make it longer. Then now we're going to have a bit of more of a bendy bone, as you can see. So let's leave it like that. And then for the foot, all we're going to do, we don't need to the foot's not going to deform. So we're just going to take the left foot and put it into the left foot bone. So basically, in a nutshell, with bones, if something gets deformed, it is always then you bind it to the bones. We're using the bind bone methods. If it's not deformed, you just make it a child of the bone. So now we've got our left leg set up. Let's take these to the left leg and with the bones, and the left leg with the actual artwork, and just group them together so it's tidy, and call this left leg. And then we're going to duplicate this and call this right leg. And I'm just going to move this one over to this side, and then go into the bone here, go into the foot, and where it says 90, I'm just going to rotate this, make it -90. So now we've basically got our feet set up, and then we just need to change all the names here. Okay, now I've got the legs set up, and if I go to this bone and I move it, you can see everything moves with it. But now I want to create something a bit more complicated. I want to create something called an IK rig. Now, the way rigs work in any 3D or any software, 2D or 3D, is you get a FK rig, which stands for forward kinematics, and you get an IK rig. Now, an FK rig is very simple. All that means is when I move a bone, it just basically moves. So if I take this bone and I move it, you'll see that it moves individually. That you usually use that for arms. And then IK is a bit different. With IK, you put a controller here, and then you move the controller, and then the whole bone chain moves. It's almost like you've got an invisible line from here to here. But let's set it up, then you can see how it works. So the first thing we need for an IK chain is a controller. So we press G for a group, and then click around about here. And then we're just going to go to the group and make it a target. And then we call this left leg CTR. And then now we need to set up the IK chain. So we control click on the left shin, and then go to your constraints, give it an IK constraint, and then with the bone count is we want 2 bones to be influenced by the IK chain, this one and this one. So make the bone count 2, and then for the target, we choose the left leg controller. And now if I move the left leg controller, you'll see that this is controlling the bone, and it behaves like it should. And if I move the root character root here, you'll see it also moves like that. Now the last thing I want to do is, if we move it down this, I want the foot to be in place here. I don't want the foot to move, so we can put in another IK chain. So all we do is we copy this, Control C, Control V, and then we call this left toe CTR, and this is important, move it out here to there at the tip of the toe, and then make it a child of the left leg controller. And then now we just need to take the foot bone and put a IK constraint on this one, and then for the target, just make sure you've got left toe selected. Then now if I move this, you'll see that stays in place. And then if I want to animate this, all I need to do is I just animate this left toe going up and down. And that's basically how you set that up. And then now we just do the same on the right hand side. So let's do it again so you can see the process. So we select the shin bone, add a constraint, add a translation, IK constraint, give it 2 bones because we want this bone and this bone to be influenced. And then now we just need to create controllers for this. So I'm going to create G for group, make it a target, and call it right leg CTR, and then select the shin, and then for the target we select right leg controller. So let's see if this works. So it's working, but now we've got a slight problem because I want it to bend in the other direction, and that is an easy fix. All you do is you select this bone here and then just say invert direction. So now now this is going to happen. And then the last step we need to do is we just need to go here and duplicate this and then set up the toe. So we duplicate this and then call this right toe control, make it a child of right leg control, and then we select this bone here and we add IK constraint, and then for the target, let me just open this up. For the target, I'm going to select right toe, and then now if I bring this down, it's behaving as it should. And then all you can do now is you can set up the arm in the same way, but I want to show you a really cool trick now. I've got this band here in the middle, which is like his belt. So I want to add some dimension to this character. So when he bends forward, it gives it some three-dimensional space. And I could easily do that with bones. So I can create 3 bones. I'll create one here, press escape, press bone again, create one here, press escape, and then B, press escape, and then now I'm going to select this. I'm going to go into the path, say edit vertices, bind to bones, press plus to bind to bones, and select these 3 bones, say done. And now I just need to make sure that these are set to this one, that's right. And then I need to select this whole section here because it's got quite long mirrored handles. So I'm going to select the mirrored handles and then the middle one and make it 100% influenced by the middle bone. And then on the right bone we want, or on the left bone we want that to be influenced. So now if I go here and I take this bone and I move it up and down, we've got this nice sort of rounding. And then let me take it one step further. I'm just going to take this. I need to put this into our group as well. So I'm calling this belt bones. And then I'm going to take belt bones and I'm just going to put it into the character root because we want that to move with the character. So the only problem we have now, so if I move this middle one, I want this to move with it as well. And that's an easy fix. All we need to do is we need to take this one that says shirt and then do exactly the same. Just bind that to the bone's structure as well. So we say edit vertices, bind bones. Then we select this bone, select this bone, and select this bone. And we say done. And then we go here to this bone here and make sure we've got these set to that one. And we go to the middle bone. We select all of these and put them to the middle bone. And then just a note, just to make it move smoothly, I made the mirrored handle length for this one and for the belt ones all the same. They're all 80. So it just makes everything move nice and smoothly. And then this, I set it to, on the left hand side, I set it to 100% here. So now if I move this bone, everything moves nicely together. So now I can create this sort of faux 3D effect on my guy when he jumps. And then for the last bit, for the arms, it's the arms of very straightforward. You just create a bone chain. I'm not even going to show you because I'm sure you can figure that out. It's just create a bone chain here, and then bind the arm to the bone, and then the hand separately to the hand bone. And that, in a nutshell, is how to use bones. And then in my next video, I'll show you how to animate this. And you can get some quite nice effects if you